So what I have here is it's a leaf blower. It's a Stihl, and it's a BR600, and it was a curb find. And so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get it to run. And I pulled it over. It's not seized. I would have left it if it was seized, but it may be that it doesn't have good compression. These tend to since they have valves, the valves tend to carbon up, and the carbon builds up on the seat, the valve face seat, and the valve face, and to the point where it doesn't seal the chamber anymore. And Stihl actually recommends, and they also sell a fluid, and you can get fluid other places that will decarbonize the engine, which if you have one of these, it's probably a pretty good idea to do that routinely, is to decarbonize the engine. So this is what's called a four mix, and what that does, it combines a four cycle engine and a two cycle engine. And the way a two cycle engine works is that the fuel, you have oil added to the fuel either through an injection, or you have to mix it, and then put it in the fuel tank for the motor. I had a two-cycle motorcycle back in the 70s that it actually had an injector down at the crankcase that would inject the oil as the gas came down. It came down through a channel, and then it would mix it before it went into the crankcase, and then it would lube the crankcase, and it would come up and burn in the motor. So what happens is that in a two-cycle, you don't have, in a four cycle, you have a crankcase that's sealed from the combustion chamber, and what happens is you have oil, so the oil lubricates your bottom end. It lubricates the crankshaft, it lubricates the bottom part of the piston, the rod, rod bearings. It also lubricates the walls of the cylinder. The oil gets up on the cylinder, like in a like a mower, Briggs and Stratton, like 5 horsepower mower. They have a little device on the crankshaft that splashes oil around the engine, so it gets onto the cylinder walls and everything. In a car, I guess it's just that you're driving and you have all the pistons going up and down. The oil just naturally splashes up on the cylinder walls. But in a two cycle, all that lubrication is done with the fuel, the oil in the fuel, the oil impregnated, or the gas, the oil impregnated gas, or for your fuel. So all that fuel gets on, it goes through the lower crankshaft, the bearings, the cylinder walls. All that's lubricated by your fuel with the oil, impregnated oil in the fuel. So basically, so this has, it's a 4-stroke with valves, so it has a valve train, and that's all lubricated by the fuel. You have to mix fuel oil into the fuel on this, and so you have a cam, to run the valve train, so that's all lubricated by the fuel and the oil that's in the fuel. So that's why they call it a four mix. It's a four cycle, but the fuel has oil in it, and that's what lubricates your valve train, your cam, and the crankshaft bearings and the cylinder walls. Everything would be lubricated in a 4-stroke by oil. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a ignition check to see if I'm getting a spark. So I pulled off the spark plug boot, and then I have this that you plug this end into the spark plug cap, and then this other end goes on the spark plug. And what it will do is it will show a flash in there as the magneto generates a spark. So as you can see, it's sparking, so that's good. These is you never, ever, ever, ever want to use power tools on them. Like an air impact wrench, as tempting as it is, no. So the first thing we want to do is take off the air cleaner cover, and you'll need a T27 or a flat blade screwdriver. So we're going to take out the air filter. Yeah, brand new air filter. So how many people go in and if you have one of these, do you change this for the season? It's the adjustment for the seasons. And it looks like, you know what? It looks like the little cover that flips in there is missing. So it looks like it's on constant winter. There should be like a little shutter. And what it does is these can ice up in the wintertime. If you use, I've used it once for snow removal, but they actually can they can ice up. So there's like a little shutter in there, and what happens is when you open it up like that, what it does it takes hot air from the muffler and recycles it into the intake to keep it warm. I guess also for starting too. But this one, the little shutter's missing off of it. So it's constantly in winter mode. See, I think there's like a little sun at the top. And then there should be... I don't know, I don't see anything else, but there's something in the diagram or something, but oh, there it is. There's a snowflake. See the snowflake at the top? There's a snowflake, and then there's the sun. So that's summer and winter. So I'm going to take the baffle off for the carburetor. Now we're going to take the pull start off. That's also a 27 T27. Okay, the pull start's removed. So this, when if you ever get to the point of which we're going to probably get to, oh, look at all this. You know, I got one of these. Look at all the stuff that's in there. I got one of these. Another one's another curb find. And when I took it apart, there's a mouse nest inside of it. I think this one's been sitting. There's a guy down the street that does landscaping, and he throws these away occasionally, and he puts them out by the curb. And I think this one would probably sit in his backyard for a while. But this here This here, the rotor, you never want to hold on to this nut when you're trying to remove the fan on the other side. You just completely forget about this, because what will happen is you'll do this. You'll break the, there's like a little, it's like a mower, like a Briggs & Stratton mower, how they have a woodruff key that holds the flywheel on. Same thing, but what happens with this is the, see how I can get this in here. But this, the woodruff key, is part of the flywheel. And you can see down at the bottom, it at the 6 o'clock position, it's like a piece of aluminum that sticks up, and that's what holds this on the crankshaft. And if you use this to hold on to this nut, the nut's gonna this is gonna slip, and it's gonna snap that off. So just completely forget about this side of the crankshaft when you're taking the blower portion off. I'll go into more detail later. There's people on the internet that have take aparts for these, and the guy's using power tools on it, and he takes it off. I don't know if he broke it and he just went out and bought another one, or he was just lucky and it didn't break. But and they're like $70, I think. They're pretty expensive. So we're going to take the rest of the blower apart. Everything's 27 a torque T27. Unless somebody's taking it apart and put something back in that's different. There's another T27 there, and another T27 on the other side. That's really oily looking. That could be why it's not running. It could. I would assume that any kind of a leak, like within a two-cycle. That's one thing about a two-cycle, is they have to be completely airtight. And they're not like a four-cycle where you can have like an oil leak in your crankcase, and you don't have to really worry that much about it. With a two-cycle, that's a deal. It can make it lean because it's letting air in, so it leans out the mixture. So this just lifts off, push the plug wire through. And from what I remember, I don't think these have like a, they have a bottom part of the crankcase, and it doesn't have a gasket. It's just they just use like Forma-Seal or something, whatever, some kind of a adhesive. So this thing owes me another T27. I think it dropped, the bolt dropped down in here. It's back the gas somewhere. I don't think I'm going to get to it today, but if you ever have to replace the fuel lines in the tank, I think there's a way to take the there's like this where they go in. I think that comes out. There's something in here that comes out. It doesn't look like it, but if you work with it, it will come out, and it makes it a lot easier when you have to replace the fuel filter and the lines in there. Yeah, so I took one of the bolts that hold the magneto to the engine, And the other ones I was trying to take out were the they were the grommets. The grommets for the screws that hold the or the bolts that hold the starter on. You know, I can hear it. There's one of the grommets stuck to the magnet on the magnet on the stator. You know, I can hear it like drawing a charge in, trying to draw charge in. It might be we need a little tiny piston. I'll show you. See, I got it's really little piston. This is the bottom crankcase and the bottom crankcase cover. And like I said, it's all lubed by the fuel and oil mixture. See, and they have there's no gasket. It's got like Permatex or something like that. You know, I guess you put it on there, follow the instructions, put it on there, let it dry a little bit. It's got like a ridge though, goes all the way around. And you just put that on there and let it dry, and then put it together, and I guess that seals it. But this one's leaking really bad. Like I said, that really leans out the charge is going into the combustion chamber. I mean, that could even affect it not running. The muffler off, and that also has T27. It's got 3 of them, I think. Or is it just 2? Yeah, it's probably just 2. And I think I'm going to squirt some penetrating oil in there. Some liquid wrench. Actually, there is 3 bolts that hold it on. 3 T27s. Oh, this one's completely out of its. There's stuff still in there. Oh, that's really bad. I guess I could put a hole in it and pour it in. Wrench, and we got a PB blaster. Let me try the PB blaster. Shake it up real good. Let that sit for a minute. Been doing is I wanted to take this shroud off, so it has one bolt up there at the top about 12 o'clock. Then had another one right there. The bolt's still in the plastic. Let's see if I can. Right there, but it's all loosened up. And then the options are you have to move the coil. So you can either unplug it or undo the bolt, the other bolt, the 2 bolts that hold it on. And once you do that, you're gonna have to, when you put this back in there, you're gonna have to, use like a feeler gauge to set it. Which you know, if you're putting it back together, you want that's part of the tune-up. You know, you want to do that. So I went ahead and removed that. So if you look at these bolts, you'll notice that the threads are different. And the ones with the really coarse threads go in the plastic, and then the ones that that don't have the coarse threads go into metal. So like this goes into metal, and then this goes into plastic. Locks down and the carburetor and disconnect the fuel lines and remove it. And there's how the throttle attaches to there, and then this attached to there, and then this goes to the fuel line going in. Out of one of the screw holes, it looks like a helicoil type. That's how they put the threads in there. That's how they put the threads in the plastic. So that one, you put a screw in there, it's not going to do anything. Just come right out. Hungry, I didn't have much breakfast, so I'm going to go get something to eat. And when we come back, we'll take the back part of the blower off. And take the muffler off, and then we're going to take the actual blower off, so we can remove the motor completely. I'm taking the muffler off. There's the muffler. Disconnect the air box. Pull this line out. Set this aside. Going to disconnect the coil. So the next step is to, I think, remove the backpack. You know, the backpack with the backpack. And there's 27 T27s to remove. There's like 8 T27 screws you got to take out of the back, and then you can separate the backpack and the blower and the motor assembly. This is the nut that you have to get off on the back of the blower, and you can't use this or the nut on the other side, because you'll break, like I said, you'll break the right there. See at the 12 o'clock position? It's like a Woodruff key, but it's built into this. It's not like on a mower on a mower flywheel where you break the woodruff key and just put another key in. With some penetrating oil. So now you got to find some way to freeze the motor from turning so you can undo the nut to get the blower assembly out. Once you get the blower assembly out, then you can remove the motor. So one Stihl has something that they sell, and it looks like this, except the end of theirs is rubber tipped. And this you can it's the same thread. I made this myself on a grinder. It's the same threads as a spark plug, and you thread it in, and what it does is a piston stop. Mine isn't rubber tipped. Theirs is rubber tipped. I don't know if that will make any difference, but I'm going to do what an old trick that I used to do for 2 cycles and 4 strokes, like mowers and stuff, is I'm going to take the spark plug out and then make sure it's at the bottom of the compression stroke, and then I'm going to start feeding in cord, like rope. And then you get that so much rope in there when the piston tries to come up, it can't go, and it just gets to the point where it can't compress it. So I'm going to try that. Or should I try the piston stop? I don't want to break the piston, but I don't know if that's really... One thing you may want to do at this point is to loosen the spark plug, because once you get the motor out, it's going to be a little bit cumbersome. So what I did is I took the valve cover off. That's this. There's one 27 T27 bolt in the middle you had to remove. So this way I can see when the valves are on the compression stroke. Okay, that's the exhaust, intake, compression, exhaust, intake, compression, exhaust, intake. So somewhere around there is, you want to make sure the piston's at the bottom on the compression stroke. Spark plug out, and what you can do is put a pencil or a pen or something in there, and you can see the rise up and down. The piston pushes it up or down. You want it at the furthest down it will go. So that's the exhaust. That's the intake. The piston's dropping down. And it's traveling back up. So that probably right there. That's exhaust, intake. So probably that right there. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to have one of the valves open. Because if you have the valve open, you start feeding in cord, and then you go on the compression stroke, there's a good chance you'll bend one of the valves. So I have some cord. Hopefully this is enough. It should be. So you just start can see I probably used this before for the same thing. So you just start pushing this in here until I think I need a longer piece. But you get the idea. So I fed a, a pull start for a mower in there. And so you're going to be turning, so you're loosening this. So you'll be turning it to the left. So that means you'll be turning this to the right. This side will turn to the right. So you want to turn this back and make sure your valves, you turn this. You turn this back to the right and make sure that the valves don't try to open, because you don't want to bend a valve or the push rod. So I tried just brute force, and it's on there pretty good. And for what I remember, that nut is an integral part, or integral, or whatever part of this this plastic inside the blower cover. So usually heating the nut will usually can break it loose. So I've got this here. You can use propane if you want, but I've got this here to heat the nut up. And I'm going to try that. It's still on there really tight. I removed the blower assembly. It's a half-inch ratchet with, I think, a 17 millimeter. Yeah, 17 millimeter and a half-inch extension. Still won't budge, so I put some more penetrating oil on it, and I'll let it sit for a while. And then squirting it with penetrating oil, I finally got the nut loose. So now I got to take the rest of this the outer shell off. So once you take all these Torx heads out, all around the outside, then this will come out here, and then you just go around, break this loose with a screwdriver. It might be easier to start here on this side and just go all the way around and break this loose. And then this unscrews is one piece. And then once that's done, then you need to take these out to get the motor out. Well, those are in there tight. Where's my well, you know, they're sort of visible from the back, so I'm just going to squirt them a little bit of I'm going to try my piston stop just to get this off, because I don't think it's on there really tight. So with the piston stop, it doesn't really matter what the valves are doing. It could be on intake, exhaust. It broke loose really easy. May need a gear puller to. Looks like it's got a little hole there just for saying, yeah, you need a gear puller. I'm gonna squirt some penetrating oil in from this side. So I'll let it sit, get my gear puller, and I'll come back a little bit later. I don't feel like drilling out any screws, so I'd rather let the penetrating lube do its thing. So it's been sitting for a day with the lubes I've got, let's see, where are they? I got these two top mounting bolts I got to take out. So they stick through the case, so I put some, there's one right there. And then the other one's on the other side. Right there, and I put, they look kind of dry. I put some liquid wrench on them. Let's see if I can break them loose. Again, these are I don't have to drill those out. Really in there tight. So I have this 3-jaw puller. I think I just need to use the two, just these two right here. So I'll take the other one off. There, that wasn't too bad. Because we need to get the sock to replace that seal. There's the key in there. It's not very pronounced, but it's easy to break off. So you can see it's sticking up just a little bit. Once that's gone, this is no more good. For the get those two mounting bolts out. So I put some more liquid wrench on. I guess I'll just do that, throughout the day, and just keep squirting that. See where the bolt goes through the plastic? I'm also squirting that. I'm also squirting the top, and also where the bolt goes through the plastic on both of them. This one's a little more difficult to get to. It's down in there. So we'll see what that does. Get that all lubed up real good. Like I said, I hate to have to drill those out. Hey, okay. So we have an update. This one I got loose. And first, I like Harbor Freight tools, but some of their stuff is just really, like, this is really good. If you don't have one of these, it's a slim ratchet with a 1/4 inch on one end and a 3/8 on the other. If you don't have one of these, get one. These are really good. They really come in really handy. But some of their stuff, like I broke, this is a T27, and the end broke off. And then this is another one of theirs. It's a T27, and it twisted the ferrules on the. So, and this is a T27. I bought this online. It's actually made out of tool steel, which the other one should be made out of, but they're not. And I broke that one loose. And this one I think I stripped, so I may have to drill that one out. So I got the one mounting bolt out. The other one is stripped, so I'm going to drill it out. But first I'm going to clean the whole inside there with carburetor cleaner and tape plastic in there. You like some plastic and tape to keep the filings, when I drill, keep that out of going in the exhaust or down into the valve train or anything like that, because I might even put the valve cover back on. I think I probably will. Okay, I'm getting ready to drill this out, and so I taped off all the places that the shreds of metal from the drill will get into, and I plugged up the intake and the exhaust, and I put the valve cover back on. And I got my drill bits. These are secondary drill bits. They're cast-offs that I throw in a bin. They're not my good drill bits, but I went through and sharpened them all. So I'm going to try some of these and see how the sharpening did. It's the first time I ever sharpened drill bits. There. Took the head right off the. Now it's hot. So there it is. There it is, the motor removed. It's a nice little motor. I wonder if their chainsaws are 4 mix also. Just removed though. Looks like they might have put some Loctite red on it or something. I thought I saw some on the other one too. Either that or it's gasket, because the gasket cement they use for this is red too, so they might have put some of that on there.